is good, my people, my peeps? Checking in. We're going to have an open conversation today. This conversation is regarding, well, the topic of the conversation is what it says in the title. Should I start interviewing again? Now, we're going to get into this. Why I asked that question. Why is that a topic of conversation? Considering that I know and you know that I have been a target individual to my knowledge, to my when the program became overt instead of covert, when it made itself plain. Um, it's been about 7 years now that I know what what's going on. So, and then coming into the knowledge of being a chosen one, child of the Most High God. So, the topic is, should I start interviewing again? Because if you don't know any of my backstory, we're going to get into that a little bit, and then I'll tell you guys why I was saying I have that as a topic for discussion. Interviewing. And if you don't know my backstory, my channel actually, when I started my channel, this is when YouTube, honey, this is when YouTube first, I think when they first came on the scene, okay? When YouTube first came on the scene, I pretty much had started a channel. And the channel was basically in regards to what was going on in my channel. Okay? No, hold on. I'm going to go inside. We might go outside and film outside because it's a nice day today. Just to have a discussion and check in with you all. Give me a minute. And then I'm going to get set up. Give me a hot second. We're going to have a discussion. And I think this discussion affects basically all targeted individuals. Okay? All targeted individuals and chosen ones. I think this discussion that I'm going to have with you all affects all of us. I think I'm going to sit over here. My phone always wants to doggone die. Let me set y'all up over here. So, I was saying, should I start interviewing again? Because, I didn't tell you guys, if you're new to this channel, why I asked that question, because you might not know my background. You probably are just coming in the middle of this situation, right? So, like I was saying, I started this channel. Well, it wasn't named Ethereal at the time when I started my first YouTube channel. It was dealing with interviewing local business owners, artists, authors, chefs, things along that nature. So that's what I did, and I started the channel, and it got sidetracked. Okay, so y'all hold tight. I'm gonna might make a little noise. Lord, what happened? I'm back. Sorry about that. Let me get this out so we can set y'all up over here. Turn on some lights. Lights, camera, action. All right, so I got this little thing from the Dollar Tree to give me some light over here. Ooh, a lot of light. You know, the sister melanin be taking it all in. Okay, guys, so here's the deal. Should I start interviewing again? When I started this channel, it was basically I was letting people in my community know what was going on, like if there was an event going down, or just highlighting the talents of the community, people in the community. Even if you didn't have a particular talent, what was going on? What did you organize? It could be some kind of walk, walk for whatever, to raise money for cancer research or something along those lines. That's what I started this channel when I first started, and it took off. And then I kind of was swayed away from this channel and my work that I was doing. And it's so odd that I think that in a way it was almost intentional. You know what I'm saying? It was almost intentional because I was starting to get recognition from major companies, and that is how I ended up working where I used to work for radio, and working with a major radio media company, right? It's not just radio anymore, it's media. And so that's how my journey started. But the thing is, when I started with House of Nicole, people, and I can say this even before I got on camera or did anything like that, were always kind of like drawn towards me. You know, I can have a conversation with anybody. I mean, I think you as chosen ones, you as targeted individuals, y'all have that right now. People sometimes, we already know they just stare at you, and maybe not all of them are perps, but sometimes you can walk in somewhere and people are just like staring at you. What is going on? So I think we have just that light that's within us. It just draws people to us, right? And that, I think, played a big part in the path that I took in life. So regardless of what it was I was doing, people always wanted to come and talk to me or open up and have conversations. So that's, pretty much has been me my whole life. And so when I started House of Nicole and started doing these interviews, it started off with just basically local artists, local people, and then they were like, people were like, well, have you met this promoter? And this promoter wants to meet you, and this promoter or this manager wants you to interview their artist, right? And so I was like, who? Because I had no training, okay, in media as far as journalism is concerned. Now, I did go to college for communications and public relations, and that was because I used to organize events such as car shows and things of that nature, and weddings and parties and all of that, okay? And so when these people were like, well, we want you to come interview Keith Sweat, I was like, excuse me, and I had no words. We want you to come interview Adina Howard. Now, some of these people you guys probably don't even know because they're not headliners anymore. But some of you guys may know some of these people. Kelly Price, so these names are just, people just were like, oh, come and interview this person, that person. And so, like I said, I didn't have I didn't go to school for journalism. And this is one thing that I'm realizing, and I've heard some people talk about, is when you are working in your gift or your
what God has gifted you with. Everybody's not gifted with being a singer or a cook, a great cook, or a writer, or what have you. But some people are. Some people can write novels like it's nothing, right? So I have the gift of gab, and I truly can relate when I'm having a conversation with people. So I just started saying yes. Although I was like nervous as I could be, I would just say yes to these offers, and they kept coming in. And so I would start to interview these now mainstream artists, right? And but my interviews would go so long because, like I said, I didn't have any, um, you know, college training regarding journalism, and so my interviews took off and they became conversations. They weren't just an interview; they were actually just conversations, and I would have to, because I had a camera, two cameramen at the time. I would have to get the information from the video and try to chop it down to at least 30 minutes, and that still was a long time to watch an interview, right? But these people would like go for hours because we would just be talking, and I didn't want to just learn I didn't just want to hear about their their particular brand deal that they're working on at that time. That came in to the conversation, but that didn't lead our conversation. So y'all give me a minute because I need to get something to drink. Yeah, dogs will talk today. So hold on. Y'all don't look at what I have on the couch. This is a hot mess over there. All right. Piece of dog. Okay. So this is just kind of like an open a discussion as far as being a target individual, being a chosen one, but being a target individual, I've heard people say that they can't do this or they won't allow me to do that, and I I truly feel that in life there there was always obstacles, even before we even realized that we were targeted. What's good? What is good? How you doing today? Hold on, let me jump a little closer. How you doing today? So I'm just getting in. This is just an open conversation. This is nothing in particular. If you want to, you know, jump in, or you're thinking about or going through the same thing, this light is bright, bright. Hold on. So I think when it comes to us as target individuals, because I went through job mobbing. Now, I believe we all have always gone through a particular job mobbing, right? But we didn't have the terminology for it. We just dealt with difficult people. And I don't want us really to feel like we can't move on or do anything because of this person or what group of people are trying to do. Because I think that's always happened to us. Just as people existing here on this planet, you have to learn how to go through different situations and learn how to, pretty much problem solve, right? Or work through conflict when they arise. So anyway, I was actually okay. So y'all know. Let me kind of go forward a little bit. So y'all know I'm no longer at the radio station, at the media company, right? But this is the thing. People have been calling me, wanting me to interview, and it's not just local people. And my thing is, I've never been what how should I say, a perspective of persons. You know, I never thought of this person is better or has a higher status than this person, so I need to treat them differently. That has never been me. I've never been starstruck anytime, okay? And I think the only time I may have confessed to ever wanting to be starstruck, this is when I was younger, when I had a crush on Denzel Washington, honey. That's back in the day when he was, all over training. Hello, how you doing? Um, Back in the day. So that's the only time I can say that, I would have been starstruck. But anyway, just wanted to say that. And then kind of let y'all know about how my journey here on YouTube started. And it started with my own platform, and I built it on my own, right? I did not seek out, I did not even try to reach out to anyone to, on a mainstream status to get interviews. They always came to me. That might sound odd or crazy to some people, but that is exactly how it went down. I've never been. What is the term now? The youngsters call back in our day, not paper chasing. That was like you were chasing the bag, right? They would call that paper chasing, clout chasing. That for me, that has never been me. I never had to do that. Like I said, things along that line, when it came to meeting people, they just fell in line. I was always there, um, always invited um, to a particular event, and wound up talking to or interacting with the headliner. Okay, so I never ran off to Hollywood on the bus trying to be a superstar. Those stories back in the day of young girls running to L.A. or Atlanta trying to become famous. That was never the case with me. Okay, so but yet and still, I always and it's always been my passion. And I will tell you about a dream, well, like a vision I had this week as well. It's always been like a dream or a passion of being part of hospitality, okay? I've talked to you guys different times telling you how I've drove cars for celebrities. I've heard celebrities argue in the background as I'm driving vehicles for them to get to their destinations. Um, and everything has been, a confidential type deal when you're dealing with celebrities along those lines. And they've always felt comfortable enough to even have those type of interactions with each other. My thing is, I feel that when I was doing the interviews, they weren't they weren't in Hollywood, right? Because they were in Texas, in a smaller. They weren't in like a bigger city, right? And they opened up more, and that's where I found myself having a difficult time chopping down the interviews. Okay, and so as I say that to you guys, I had a dream about, well, like a vision, like I said, and it was about hospitality. It felt as if in that in the dream, the vision, because it was kind of like in between that I am here for a particular reason, right? And and it's to help people, to um, help them, whether it be transition or help build them up, okay, strength wise, in whatever aspect that may be, that may fall under. And I feel that that vision, dream vision, how can I mix that in because that's what it was, represented what I'm trying to get across to you today. When I had that particular vision, we know that we're in the end times, right? So this was the end of it all, right? And this is really dealing with the chosen ones and the ones who have made a conscious decision on who they will serve. In this vision, I could see that I was changed, like I had a different attire on. But I actually was in, it felt like some type of ship, some type of spacecraft type deal. But I could see into a field, right? And I could see the field was empty at first. But we know as chosen ones, we know as targeted individuals, we know how hard it's been down here, especially when you awaken to this program. So, but in this particular vision, I was seeing the fields of my ancestors that probably worked cotton fields or whatever field it was, those particular fields, but they were empty. I'm looking down from the ship, right? And I'm changed in like a white attire, but it's still like I still have armor on, like still coming into battle. But it wasn't a battle. We were at the end of the battle. And so as I'm looking down, and it's an open field, and I hope I'm trying not to bust a tear. I'm trying not to cry. It's an open field. But when I look again, it's as if the ancestors that worked those fields rose, right? Like now there's people standing on those fields, and I see them, and they are, they look like they have the attire of slaves, you know, the hair wrapped up, the tattered clothes. As when I look back down, and then I look again, and their garments have changed, right? Their garments are like, what's good, Sergio? At it again, at it again. Their garments are changed, okay? And they are in like all white, but it's a white. It's hard to even explain, but it just imagine like a white, but they have like a armor on, like my attire, like I had something flowy, like a garment on, but like on my legs and my arms were like a metal, like it bent with my body. It's hard to explain. Like just think of a metal that just will bend with you, but it's armor, okay? And so I've seen these people change, and the slaves that work, and they come up into the ship where I'm at, and it felt at that particular time like I was part of the welcoming team, like I was part of the hospitality, like these first people to come onto this ship were the ones who went through it. They are the first to rise, right? And it was so I knew I was even laughing and smiling because I could feel it on my face, but I'm in this deep vision and like a dream, and I see them come up on the ship, and I know that I was on the ship first, but I'm welcoming these slaves that were former slaves that have been changed, okay? And they have these garments on, and they're pouring into the ship, and it's just like, I'm welcoming them, and I'm like, we're laughing, and it's like, we thought it was going to be easy. We thought it was going to be easy, you know, man. Well, we were kind of like joking, like we took this mission to come here because we thought when we got the mission, we saw it beforehand, and we thought that it would be easy. And when we came down, we realized, we were the ones crying out for the Most High. We were the ones we didn't think that we could make it, and I knew that I was part of a hospitality team, that I was part of them, but I also was somewhat like a strength for them as well. It's very hard to explain, but I'm trying to do my best. Um, so as they're coming onto the ship, we're laughing, but we're laughing kind of at ourselves, right? Because we thought it was going to be so easy. It was like we were the first to come here and be amongst people that needed our help and that were going to need our help, but we were going to have to take on their frailness as well, okay? And not remember who we were before we even came down here. And so as we awaken again, we had to laugh at ourselves to be so basically naive to think that this mission was going to be a cakewalk when in fact it almost broke us. And we were the stronger of the people we came down here to help. So I'm seeing this in the vision, right? And we were so happy, and so I'm on the ship and I'm standing like at the bay, like the bay is opening and the fields and their spirits and people that have changed from the slave attire to their like armor, like they're ready for war, but beautiful armor and flowing garments, and they're coming on the ship, and we're laughing, and we're happy. And then I look back down onto this earth, and there are trees. Who we they're trees. I mean, like big, gnarly trees, and on the trees are hanging. Um, they look like feathers. They look like white feathers are hanging from these trees. But then when I look at the trees again, I realize they weren't hanging. They weren't just feathers. Howdy, how you doing today? They weren't just feathers. They were actually people. They were actually the people that were hung from the trees. And they looked like feathers, but they actually, from the first glimpse, when I looked, they looked like feathers, but then they changed, and then they turned into the form of the people. Now, mind you, I'm seeing this in a vision, so this is all spiritual, right? Um, they changed into the form of the people. And then now on these trees, I see the bodies just like I saw the people in the field in their first attire, the slave garments. And then they changed and they had the white Floyd garments on with the silver, like metal stuff that I had on me. Um, so these trees with these feathers on, white feathers, they they form into the hanging bodies of ancestors, of my ancestors, and maybe some of you all. And I see them, and then they change again into the almost the same way as the people that were in the field. They transformed into these beings with their flowing garments on, and they they too they too started to rise from off of the trees, and then they started rising up to the ships. Okay, and now that I remember, that even made me feel sadness, like it just when I think about it, because I did not know any one of these people, my ancestors or your ancestors, that actually hung from trees, but I could see the many. It was all the trees in one place, so you can imagine how many bodies came from off of those trees and transformed into their glorious bodies and came on the ship. And they too were laughing and happy and knowing that we just completed a mission, but our mission wasn't over. But the mission we just completed was something we almost took for granted, right? Because we didn't realize that coming down here, this mission was going to be so very hard. Um, and I remember being on the ship and just seeing all of these people on the ship, and they're smiling and they're laughing. And I remember feeling full of joy just to be a part of being able to usher in these souls that went through such great tragedy, right? Um, I remember that I could feel just being full of joy to be almost like being a part of this. Is the If I was going to be on a team, this was the best choice of a team to ever be on. Just to feel that much joy, um, and it was like we were picking up the soldiers, but our mission is it wasn't done. It was just like it was one of the first parts, one of the first to final parts of our mission, but it was one of the a mission that almost took all of us out, right? So it made me feel happy to be a part of being part of the hospitality team, the welcoming home team, right? And I think that's why I've always want to, or I've always been part of a hospitality team, whether it's doing something at my home when it came to catering a party or an event or something along that line. So that's how I got into, you know, interviewing people. And so I told you this vision that I had just this week. And but before this week took effect, last week I had got a phone call, and I was asked to if I would I be interested in interviewing some celebrities that are, comedians and things of that nature. And, I told the person, well, I don't work in media anymore, not a major media. But see, this person knew me before I actually started working for a major media company, right? And so they were like, well, if you want to start interviewing again, they have some people lined up that they're booking and they want me to interview them, if I'm interested in doing that. And, you know, I'm telling you, going through transitioning in life, um, like I said, in different fields, I feel like I almost worked in every field or every job that you can possibly work in. All right, I think not fast food as much, but catering. I feel is somewhat along that line. Um, so I think I've done every type of job, right? But the most fulfilling is interacting with people and hearing people's stories and how you know how they made it through their dreams, their aspirations, their the goals that they have for their families or just for themselves, even once they have gone through almost a full cycle of life, like I'm, halfway there. When you get to that halfway point, what else is on the agenda for your life? And that has been talking points for me, right? So when this person asked me, would I consider on my own, starting to interview again, I thought about a conversation I had with a family member a long time ago, and they were like, why do people, when you started doing House of Nicole, like major celebrities, these people, you're from a small area. Why would they want to? And I think it is, like I said, when I had that vision, the welcoming and making them comfortable to be and express themselves truly how they are. I look at some celebrities, right? And we we have made so many strides in music and entertainment. And when I look at some of these celebrities, like real, like major celebrities, and it saddens me that these people were so, so very, and they may still be alive. So I'm thinking about like Michael Jackson, okay, so very talented, right? But then we're in this world of corruption, and their talent is basically um, used for evil or corrupted, but their talent is um, there's no doubt to the talent that these people possess, right? And I'm not saying that in a possession type of way, like Beyonce, that something comes into her, nothing like that. I'm talking about raw talent that we used to see. We used to see people with raw talent. Um, and some of these some talented people are starting to come back to the forefront. But when I was looking at some people like Michael Jackson who had raw talent, pure talent, and but we're part of this world, and they got caught up in a system that basically use their talent for their own devilish deeds, and to just basically get rich off of the raw talent of these individuals. But if you really listen to or study some of these people, you can see the humanity in them from some of their interviews that they had with different people along their journey. That's what I like to hear or listen to when I hear an interview or listen to an interview of someone with raw talent, someone with a gift that was truly given to them by the Most High God, that a talent that they didn't have to go just basically try to have, because we know you can um, learn how to sing. I'm I'm not talking about learning how. I'm talking about a talent that just is a gift from the Most High God. When you listen to interviews of these people and you hear the humor that some of them had, the playfulness that they had before they actually were uh, just used and abused, right? Um, and manipulated, because we know that although they did have raw talent, um, sometimes a lot of them were blinded by that lure of the light of Hollywood, um, being lured into that demonic industry that we know it as now. And but we have to realize that these talents, it, and I'm just talking about a singer right now, but I'm talking about the talent to create or write or sculpt a picture or paint. You see, these talents are given to you by the Most High God. And just imagine if we lived like we will be living in a new dimension where these talents still exist. Um, because Most High God still will bless his people with talents. You know, the angels sing glory, glory, glory regarding him all the day long. Okay? So we know that he blesses all of us with different talents. Just imagine living in a world, a dimension, a new dimension where you can appreciate people's talent without it being corrupted. You can hear their stories, the joy of why they wanted to actually pursue and develop more and hone in on their talent. So when I started doing the interviews, that is what um, I would I would talk to these artists about, and so many of them would just open up, and it would be like we were just like friends, like people, like we knew each other, like we were just sitting on the porch talking, and then you would get the sense of the lack of the connection that they had with someone who really wanted to talk to them and connect and understand them rather than clout chase, rather than be a part of their environment, their circle, just to say that they are with so and so or this person. That is why I think my interviews used to go so long and it was so hard for me to edit them down, right? Um, so I say all of that to say us as targeted individuals, us as chosen chosen ones, we still we still have time on this planet because we don't know when the Most High God will return. But we do know that we have to finish the race, right? We have to um, utilize our talent in the best way that we can in this world, in this realm that we are in. And I think with where we are now as targeted individuals, as chosen ones, that we don't have to run or be a part of any industry that we choose not to be a part of. Because as we awaken, we know, and if you don't know, you will soon find out. It is not only, I was made to feel bad, and I truly felt horrible for working where I used to work um, because of the demonic aspects that it had associated with it, that I didn't realize that it was about Illuminati and all these different levels of evil and demonic activities that went along with just the music industry. And I was made to feel like um, because I worked there, that was me. That was part of me. And that, I never went to any rituals, did any blood sacrifices, did any of that. And, I basically did an average job, but just to be associated with a major label or a major company, I was made to feel like I was knowing about how these industry and all of the dastardly deeds that the music industry had and what they did and how they did it. But I am glad that we all as people have the opportunity to be able to be here in this time, in this day that we are in, because the whole realm that we are in, it doesn't matter what occupation you are in, everything has been touched by the demonic realm. And we know this to be true because Washington, and we know that, we have people who want to say vote and it'll change the way things are, right? Vote, it will change the way laws are made, right? Hold on one moment. And this is ginger beer. But vote, and it will change how things, how um, our world is run, our country is run, and we are the people, and we are in control. And the sad thing about it is we go around, and whether you be in the church, out of the church, waking up to the realization of who you are as a child of the Most High God, whether you be in Cub Scouts, Brownies, Little League, we as beings, it seems in some sick way, we have to make each other feel beneath one another, especially if we get the knowledge of something or we awaken to the knowledge of who we are before others awake, or before or while others are on the verge of awakening. We always have to have a classism. I don't know why that is. I can't tell you. Um, but it is a form of making someone feel beneath you because you have more knowledge than them. You have awoken to the knowledge of the Most High God and who you are as a people. So, working in the music industry, which is basically media, because I didn't work at a radio label, um, knowing and finding out how demonic that is. But you are now waking up to the fact of the very government that you go to the polls and you vote these people into office, and you have thought that you have been doing your due diligence as even a person not being awoke to the reality of what is going on in the world you truly live in. Um, you thought you were doing your part, but now you're awakening to even your very government is involved in the most horrendous, demonic, and outlandish business ever on this earth, which is selling and trafficking children, people. That has been their business. But it has looked as if these people, because they wore two-piece suits or stockings and, you know, skirts to the knee, that these people were honest and upright people. And you see, we can't just throw everyone into the bucket like I was pretty much thrown into the bucket of you work at this place, so you are part of this place, right? For you see, if you live in the corporation of America, the corporation of America has been selling, raping, eating children. And the elites are very much on the run. There has been celebrities eating, raping, and killing children. And they have very much been locked down. That's why you have not been seeing a lot of celebrities posting and all on social media like you did in times past. But we can't say that people who have held jobs in Washington, running errands, wanting to get coffee, that just because the intern wanted to work in Washington, he knew about the corruption that Washington was, you know, undergoing, helping to push children. They lost 85,000 children just from the border that they say they can't find, that they have pushed into the trafficking and the sex slavery. So, as I think about this whole world, it's not just where you work. It's not just, oh, you work at this company, so you're a part of that company. That's almost saying because you were born into this world, you participate in eating and drinking of blood because you were born into a world that has a prince over this particular dimension right now who is very much evil. And just because you are in this world that we know as the 4G, 3D, whatever dimension we are currently in. Because you are here, you are part of that. And what I want you all to understand and take away from this, as chosen ones and as targeted individuals, we need to stop or shut down whatever that switch is inside of us to think that we need to be over someone else, right? Because we have more knowledge. I tell you, the joy I felt of being a part of the hospitality team, knowing that we all went into a mission thinking, we got this. This is going to be a cakewalk. But going into a dimension that was so very evil that we almost didn't make it out. And when we realized we did make it, and how very hard it was for us to travel through this dimension and the hardships that we saw and we faced for ourselves, how we had to laugh and rejoice because we made it. That's what we have to think about now. We all are here. Whether you take on your responsibility, however and whatever it is, we can't keep just always saying, it's because I'm targeted. I can't do this, or they won't let me do this. That is part of the journey through this mission that we are on. We have to stay the course, right? And that's what I want you guys to understand. And that's what I try to do when I interview people. Not look at their status, but want to know about them as a person. So when this particular person asked me to start interviewing celebrities again, I told him I would think about it. I don't know if I will. But this time, I would do it differently. I wouldn't be swayed by someone who sees talent, who saw my talent and wanted to basically use that talent for their own good. When I was on a path and the way I presented and interviewed the particular people that I interviewed, it was more of a conversation. And so I had another conversation tonight. And this particular person who produces a lot of events asked me the same thing. They asked me would I consider working with them and interviewing and doing what I used to do before I worked at a major media company. And I told them, well, I'll see. Right now, it's about me and just breathing. You remember that movie Exhale? You have to breathe sometimes in life. And some of us, well, the sad thing is some young people will not get the opportunity to be able to recalibrate and breathe, right? They think that pretty much that they're invincible or that what is in their mind has to happen, and if it doesn't happen, it's it's a disaster. It's a tragedy. So I told that person, I need to breathe. Basically, you know, all of my life, I've worked. Ever since I was 12, I've started with babysitting, and I've always worked. But this time, if I do something, and especially if I do something along the lines of interviewing or what I did with House of Nicole, whether it be local talent, authors, chefs, moms, dads, community organizers, or mainstream talent, I know at this particular point in my life that we all are in a wicked world. And once you realize we can't point the finger and say, you work for a company wicked, they're more wicked and corrupt than this company, when your whole government is at the forefront of the corruption. And that wickedness trickles down into everything. And I mean every vein of this, well, corporation we call the United States. From your TV newscasters to your food chain, to your hospitals, corner stores, churches, hmm, even ordering furniture online. You just may be ordering children. The corruption and wickedness is not just the record company and the Illuminati. This is all encompassing. And if you sit back and you realize and know this, there's never and can never be the possibility of trying to put yourself on any pedestal above anyone else when we should be trying to work together to get out whole as much as we can of this system, knowing what we know now, right? So, I was going to sit back and think. And if I was to do that again, it definitely will be a conversation. No hype about who it is. It'll be a conversation about who they are. Did they accomplish what they set out to accomplish, and was it worth it? If it is a celebrity, was it everything they thought it would be? So, you, as people that may still have your rose colored glasses on and cannot see that the glitz of Hollywood and the lights are not always what it's cracked up to be. Those are the conversations that I would have with them. A lot of, from what I've, observed, a lot of these celebrities are trying to acknowledge, are trying to awaken, or whatever their process is. Maybe they're scared because they realize how deep that rabbit hole goes within their particular organization. And some of them then want to come back to grassroots organizations, grassroots people, platforms, and have just a conversation, but still be able to hone in on their talent that the Most High God gave to them, because that may be one of their first loves: singing, rapping, art, crafts, whatever it may be, movie production. But on a grassroots level, in a true and honest conversation, that's how it would have to be, I think, with me, if I was to start doing interviews again. Because we have to come out of the days that we all have been in, thinking everything is everything, when it really is not. It really is not. So I know it's hard for a lot of people to even think that our government would be doing, or, be so corrupt. Companies, corporate, you know. But it's so bizarre. I was wondering why, when I went on different platforms, people kept talking about get an LLC. I'll show you how to get an LLC. Or start a company, start a business. Oh, you're operating as a straw man and you're a person. All this information. I know it's the end time, and all this information will come out more and more, right? But as far as us, and I'm talking to uh, Jake, formerly known as Black folks, information like this about starting a company, starting a business, was never given to us so easily, so freely. You can go on to any platform: YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Rumble, and you can hear people tell you how they can help you, you know, get a business, a LLC, and this is why you should get this, and why should you get this LLC, and businesses for, land. That's a big thing I'm hearing now too. Land for black families, reclaiming our land, and we were Native Indians. We were here. All of this is coming out, right? And going and getting this land. And as I hear all of this information, and sometimes I'm like, oh man, that sounds interesting. That they onto something. They sharing this information. It makes me sit back and wonder why. Not just because we're at the end of days, going into a new cycle, and it says time will speed up, information, knowledge would increase. But why? With this information and these people being able to reclaim this land, and it hit me the fact that if we're learning how corrupt our government is to the point to where they can traffic children, humans, where they actually are still being associated and taking part of cannibalism and trying to force you unknowingly participate in cannibalism. Well, it made me think, free land or reclaimed land, there's too much corruption, and the time is too short. Whether you want to believe that this shift is getting ready to take place or not, you will find out one way or the other. But the time is too short for all of this free information. And some of it they're charging you, right? But information has always been more valuable than, sometimes money. Because the idea, like you can flip an idea so many ways and make so much money off of an idea, information. So I think that might be the new bait and switch for a lot of people, being that we know that our government is on the run. We know that Washington is locked down. They are not literally doing any business in Washington, D.C. as we know it. It feels like a bait and switch. All this get a LLC. Trying to tell you, after all these years of these companies, these corporations, these LLCs, knowing that that is how they have been moving and operating as entities on this planet, in this realm, all of a sudden teaching common individuals to do that very same thing. Well, something is off with that. So I say, don't look to any particular company for evil, for where the evil lies. Don't always focus your energy thinking the devil only lies in the music industry. The devil only lies in Hollywood. For I tell you, we are in a corrupt world. And wherever people are and where you find them at, and the level of awakening that they are at, just may be your battle buddy that you're going to help transition into the next realm, next dimension. Wherever you find them at and whatever level of awakening you find them at. This is not the time to put yourself, put myself on anyone or over anyone. We are literally on the battlefield. And we can't say just because back in 2000 up until now we know in and out about this music industry and how corrupt they are. But there's still souls there that may be on that battlefield. And it may be the battle buddy. You may be the battle buddy to help bring them along. Just because someone works in Washington and we are starting to understand how corrupt our government is. Not just ours. This is worldwide, but the I mean, they're being put on center stage with the corruption and the trafficking of children, humans, and don't focus your energy to say you work in Washington, so you must be a child trafficker. If these people are waking up, it is your job to help bring them along and further assist them with their awakening. Now put yourself on platforms or pedestals above them, because now we can pinpoint another even greater demonic entity that has taken a hold of all of us, and it's our government. Wherever we find wounded soldiers, because basically that's what we are at this particular time, we need to help them and bring them along. And so that's what I wanted to, reiterate when we're on this journey as target individuals. It's just like when someone awakens to their targeting, we're not going to say, "Well, I'm top tier targeted." Where does that energy come from? That we must be on this pedestal, even if we're targeted individuals. If you don't get this, you're not targeted like I'm targeted. You don't get targeted like it's a competition, always. It's no, you realize that you're a targeted individual. I've been knowing I'm a targeted individual for 7 years or 18 years or however long. You realize that you've been a part of this program. That's the opportunity for you to give more information, not the time to have a competition, to say, well, you're beneath me because you only get red shirts, so your targeting isn't as bad as my targeting. We need to get that out of our system, just like we need to take that out of our system when it comes to the battle buddies in this world that we know, are in this country that we know as America, and whatever field that they are in. Just because you awaken earlier, you have more knowledge, we need to not have that competition. So I'm considering having a conversation or having conversation with people, whether it be mainstream celebrities or whether it be people starting their own businesses and trying to make it the best way they can make it in the world today. We'll see. And I hope for anyone who is a targeted individual to not have that mindset of I'm targeted and they're keeping me from doing this or that. There's going to be struggles whether you were targeted or not, because before you realized you were even a targeted individual, it wasn't a cakewalk. It wasn't easy in your life at every point. So there's going to be times where you have to realize you're going to have bumps and ups and downs, and but you still have to go through whatever journey, whatever it is that you are striving to be. Everything's not going to be a smooth ride. So take that, take that power away. Take that away from the perks, because nothing is easy. Change, growth, movement. So take that particular power away, saying they're going to make it hard for me. I can't do that. And I hope, and I don't think that I ever said that when going through my job mobbing. I just showed you how and what they did when it came to my job mobbing, you know, the tactics that they use. And that's fine if you share tactics. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about saying that you can't do something because they won't allow you to do it. This is a different time. We're in a different, especially we definitely in a different time to where you can make moves and they really can't stop you, whether they think they have the power to or not. I'm out, and this was just a short, open conversation. I don't know. I'm going to think about if I'm going to start interviewing again. And these particular interviews may start with mainstream celebrities. I don't know. Those are the people who contacted me. We shall see. But it might encompass just everyone again. But there, I may not just call them interviews. There'll be conversations. Yeah, a broader form of conversation with people you may know or people you may not know, and you'll get to know. All right? And I'm out, and much, much love.